Do we decide actually for ourselves, or has everything already been determined based on an algorithm that just keeps spinning and giving us codes back or response, almost like a calculation, then keeps going and going, and the results are essentially what falls right into a consciousness, and then your mind cling to it, an idea, a decision, something you identify with, and you find a way to explain to yourself why you think this is relevant to you, usually either through your emotional body or from your rationality. You want to apply logic, emotion, and intuition to the things that are already placed in your consciousness. And then from there, you decide your destiny, you decide where you go next. This is the $1,000,000 question, whether we are the decision maker of our lives or whether you're not really the decision maker. We're not the decision makers of our reality. We think we are. In some cases, yes, we are. And when we do get to move exactly towards the place that you fully want to move, it's like a blessing. It's like a God-given present because you are finally aligned to God. You're not aligned to what they call the matrix or what they call hell or what they call a simulation. But there are parts of you living in one side and in the other at once. So at times when you make decisions from this place called simulation matrix, I'm not gonna even list the names there have been given to this state of consciousness, then you fall into what we call lessons. So we don't use the negative labels to the experience, such as frustration, disappointment, sadness. Even though deeper down, you understand why you fell right back into that place. And if this is a lesson and you had zero control of the experience of like preventing that from happening, sure. But if you had the choice to prevent yourself from more pain, from more disappointment, from getting upset, from getting angry, I think you would choose to prevent yourself from the experiences, because some of the experiences you fall into, the so-called lessons, can also leave on traumas. And yes, it's much easier to stick with the idea that, well, because I went through this, I learned so and forth, so I went to this. I fell into this place that maybe I wouldn't have felt if I hadn't gone through this. At the same time, we can look at many other possibilities, such as if you hadn't fell into this lesson, you would maybe have felt, or you would have landed in a much better experience that would have led you to another even better experience that would have led you to even better experiences. But when we fall into the negative loops, negative consequences or choices, events, experiences, or however you want to label this one, a lot of the times the negative doesn't just fall back into something really positive, unless you choose to see it. So when that's okay. But how much of that ability to choose how you see your reality also prevents you from making things better? Because an optimist can keep seeing things better. All of this has a positive here, and they can keep making the same mistakes. But for them, those are not mistakes, those are lessons. They will keep choosing poor relationships, poor environments, and so forth. And this will bring them back into that loop of frustration. And they're trying to get out of frustration because when we look at hell, it's nothing but a mix of dense emotions, dense conversations, or, you know, it's just a place where you experience more negatives, more negative emotions. And the less negative emotions, the better you feel. And the closer you are to what we call higher consciousness, which many also call God. And I like to call higher consciousness as God, because one person can embody both sides, the higher consciousness and the lower consciousness attributes. And if you feel like there are days where you had so many blessings, you received blessings, you felt connected, everything happened effortlessly with zero frustration, with zero negative emotions, or a few negative emotions, but you couldn't even think of them, you couldn't even process them because they were fine. They were easy to take on. Versus the days where it's the opposite, where you just fell on darkness, then you can admit that you are living these two realities, heaven and hell, at the same time. So, what's the way out? You understand that with positive habits, with positive connections, the right support of friends, of people who cares about you, the dance seems to be smoother. But when you're lacking the right connections, the right people, in other words, or the right words at the times when you need it, then you call for help. Not calling for help, it's also an act of self-sabotage, because you're relying on your ability to self-help. And if this hasn't worked, then clearly you want to find help. But if finding help is not also easy for you, because you keep gravitating towards people who don't seem to help but wants to be helped and wants to take the most out of you when you don't even have as much to give, then yes, you must figure out on your own how to make this work for you, or at least to ease the burden of the pain you've been accumulating from falling in negative experiences. But what you're bringing inside is the result of this experience. So with each interaction, there's a new probability, there's a new choice, there's a new blessing or a new curse. Because ultimately, we as protons and electrons, as particles floating across this universe, are interacting with one another, and this just keeps on happening. And this is why you start to act weird all of a sudden after interacting with someone. This is why you start to feel like so much of yourself versus feeling not so much of yourself after interacting with someone. And you pray to God, I just wish things were normal again, but nothing will ever be normal again. You know why? Because nothing has ever been normal. And the fact that you're woken up now to realize how things are is a blessing. Because you could have been living, believing that things were normal. And maybe you would never wake up to understand that things have never been normal. And maybe the goal of this experience that we're all on is not really to live a normal life. Maybe this is more about creating your own frame of reality and creating a frame of reality that seems acceptable by society, that seems to be more relatable to your soul, to that which you know you're capable of, because many people fall into depression simply when they wake up. They wake up and they realize they're living a miserable life because they never had the chance to understand what is it like to not live a miserable life. So when they realize something better, whether that is for um an experience they've had, or by looking at somebody else's frame of reality and comparing what they're living with somebody else, they wake up to realize, why am I not there? And they are. And this is how many people fall on the depths of their beings, on the depths of their soul, on the depths of hell, of their own hell, by comparing how things were with how things are. So this is not where you want to fall on. You want to continue to explore what is it like to live on your own frame of reality. Without the burden of existence. You want to find ways to ease the burden of your existence and just bring to a place of neutrality where it feels like it's okay. It doesn't feel like horrible. There's nothing inside that is calling for help, that is crying for change. And when you get to that point where you feel like nothing inside of you is crying for change, but nothing inside of you is also pleasing, feeling pleased, or feeling like this is the best experience ever, you found the center, you found the place of acceptance with yourself, with your reality. So aiming to that might be better than aiming for what they call try to reach the moon. You might land up among the stars. Because the higher you try to reach, if you seem to be getting further and further from the high, this doesn't motivate you to keep going. But if you aim for something like, oh, I'm not that far to this, and every day you see yourself getting closer and closer to that place, then you just keep building that motivation towards existence. And ultimately, we want motivation towards existence because it's not easy to face all that all the BSs we face on a daily basis, like people who treat us as we know we don't believe to be treated at, or being lied at by companies or people who are serving a system that it's not really about you, that it's about everyone, but it's about everyone because they understand the more they serve, the better they are, or the more powerful they become. Some entities and organizations are about serving the most they can because they want to be more powerful. It's not because they want others to be more powerful as well. Like when you're offering a service, when you're offering help towards empowering people, empowering independence, empowering freedom, then yes, I will say you'll have higher chances of succeeding from that place. But when you're not, then you want to consider, who are you serving? What are you serving? After all, they say you bring to wherever you go next what you carry with. And what you carry with is a result of your daily choices, of your daily interactions, your daily thoughts, words, and attitude towards life.